What's your take on James Mattis? Should he leave? And now we're also thinking about who's going to take over for the UN ambassador, Nikki Haley.
So the president's right. At some point, everybody leaves. These are tough jobs, and they're quite demanding. My own hope is that General Mattis doesn't leave anytime soon. I've known him for a long time. He was a great soldier in defense of our country. He's a scholar of history, military strategy. He's a strong administrator at the Defense Department. He'd be a loss. So I hope he stays on and that the president does everything he can to keep him on.
Do you think the president has an adequate bench for some of these important positions, whether it's Defense Secretary, UN ambassador to replace Nikki Haley? Are you confident in the bench?
Yeah, he does. Look, it's a different kind of administration. It's unconventional, so people tend to say, oh, my God, who would want to serve there? But the truth is, look, he's got capable people in the key positions now. He's got Pompeo, Secretary of State, Bolton as National Security Advisor, Mnuchin in Treasury. I mean, those are above average people, and no sign that any one of them is going to leave. And my guess is he finds somebody good for Defense Secretary. But as I say, Mattis is the best, so I hope he doesn't leave soon.
Let me switch gears and ask you about Saudi Arabia, Senator, because you've done so much work in terms of Iran, and we know the Iranian threat out there. Saudi Arabia reportedly allowing Turkey to search its Istanbul consulate this afternoon. There will be a joint search of this consulate following the disappearance of Jamal Khashoggi. President Trump spoke out over the journalist's suspected murder, promising to get to the bottom of it and threatening severe consequences. The private sector is responding. We know all these people are pulling out of this investment conference that's supposed to take place next week. Your reaction to all of this?
Well, my first reaction is obviously the facts as we are being told them but don't know about Khashoggi's disappearance are troubling. But I think it's time to step back and take a deep breath and look at the picture more broadly. Saudi Arabia is our ally, and it's really been modernizing under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Turkey has not been our ally lately, and incidentally, in this whole case of Khashoggi, Erdogan doesn't come to this case with, as we used to say in the law, clean hands. He has a terrible human rights record, arrest journalists, arrest his political opponents, they disappear, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd be careful to wait until we see what the facts are, because, again, I want to say Saudi Arabia is our ally, not just economically, which the president has correctly referred to, but it's also our #1 ally in the regional conflict that matters most to us, which is with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, if the case is made against Saudi Arabia, obviously we've got to do something, but I hope that we stop short of a big break in our relations with Saudi Arabia, and also stop short in being punitive toward Mohammed bin Salman, because I continue to believe that he's the best hope we've had for a modernizing Saudi Arabia in a long time.
These are really important points that you're making, because obviously America has done business with other people who we do not agree with in terms of the way they govern and the way they look at human rights. But again, we are waiting on evidence. The Turks say we have audio, we have video, we know that the Saudis killed them, but we haven't seen that evidence. So
we haven't seen it, right? And
if we were to see it, though, Senator, you're stopping short the way President Trump was of saying reverse the arms sales deal. You don't think that would be in the best interest of the country?
I'd be careful about that. Not because I'd really be careful of it, because I don't want to get us into a point where we no longer have a good relationship with one of our most significant and trusted allies in the region, which is Saudi Arabia.
Because that's exactly what Iran would want.
That's exactly what Iran would want. Now, if there's evidence that Saudi Arabia really was involved in the murder of Khashoggi, we have to take some action. But I'd be careful to really not to destroy our relations with Saudi Arabia.
Understood. And that's very similar to what the president has said as well on this subject. So we're waiting. We're waiting. And any thoughts on Iran and where they are right now in terms of their nuclearization?
Well, I think they're in trouble. I mean, I think that the position that the president has taken to pull us out of that Iran nuclear deal and reimpose sanctions has really squeezed the Iranian economy. And more sanctions are coming, economic pressure early in November. So the hope here is that either the Iranians come back to the table and renegotiate a better deal in which they really give up their nuclear weapons program, or they face the consequences. And I think the consequences may be the uprising of the Iranian people who are not happy with their lives under this extremist regime.
Because any money has gone to terrorism.
Exactly.
In Iran.
All that money, whatever it was, 100 billion, 150 billion that the Iranians got as a result of the Iran nuclear agreement, didn't really go to the people of Iran.
Exactly.
It went to finance Hezbollah, Hamas, the Iranian allies in Yemen, and that infuriates the people of Iran.
Let me get to this tweet. The president just tweeted about Saudi Arabia. I want to tell you what he just said. The president just wrote this: just spoke to the king of Saudi Arabia, who denies any knowledge of whatever may have happened to our Saudi Arabian citizen. He said they are working closely with Turkey to find an answer. I am immediately sending our Secretary of State to meet with the king. So there you go. Secretary Pompeo is going to meet with the Saudi king to try to get further along here. But like you just said, we're waiting on evidence, and you don't think that we should destroy the relations with Saudis right now, given the threat of Iran.
That's absolutely right. And given the changes occurring in Saudi Arabia under Mohammed bin Salman. So I would say about that tweet from the president, it's well done. In other words, he talked to King Salman in Saudi Arabia. That's our ally. They're working with the Turks to find out what the facts were here. Let's pull back for a minute. There's too much on the line to be popping off and to affect our relation with our allies.
You make very good, practical, calm commentary there. What does all of this mean for the border? Yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy joined me to talk about his new bill that he says he's going to bring to the floor. They're going to vote on it after the midterms to fully fund the border wall, which President Trump has been asking for. Here's what he said yesterday.
We have fully funded the first request of the president to start building that wall, and we are at $1.6 billion. This will finish the job at 25. But it's more than just building the wall. What this is about is safe communities, our children, protecting them from fentanyl, protecting them from gang members, and from human trafficking. So what the bill does is even further. It gives an advanced appropriation that fully funds the wall. But more importantly, it goes in to protect them.
So McCarthy's going to bring this to the floor. Any chance of passage in your view?
Well, it depends who's in the majority. Right now, it looks like the Democrats will be in the majority. You know,
in the House.
Yeah, in the House, not in the Senate. So there's got to be compromise. Everybody knows really what a good compromise, strong immigration reform bill should include, and it has to start with more border security. It doesn't end there. So I think what Kevin McCarthy is talking about could be the beginning of a compromise, but then you got to get into dealing with the people who are here illegally and what happens next. So it's a first step. Of course, we're in a campaign season. So you're going to expect a lot of statements from both parties that are geared more toward Election Day than toward the next Congress.
Yes, election in the air for sure. Senator, it's good to see you this morning.
You too, Maria.
Thank you so much. Senator Joe Lieberman joining us. Always fantastic insights from you. We appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.